The lightning struck at exactly 9:12 p.m. A white explosion split the sky over Carrollton, Alabama, slamming directly into the old courthouse tower. The town went dark instantly. Streetlights dead, phones silent. And then someone screamed. Not because of the lightning, but because of the window, high above the courthouse entrance, glowing faintly in the storm's dying light. A face had appeared in the glass. Not a reflection, not a shadow. A perfect human face, burned permanently into the window pane. Eyes hollow, mouth twisted in agony. People swore they recognized it immediately. The face of Henry Wells, a former courthouse clerk who had been shot and killed on those very courthouse steps nearly a century earlier. But here's what terrified everyone who saw it that night. The face wasn't looking out. It was looking in, and it was smiling. The courthouse still stands today in Carrollton, Alabama, a quiet town in Pickens County. Built in the 1870s, the building has witnessed countless trials, disputes and secrets buried in Southern history. But none more infamous than the murder of Henry Wells. In 1878, Wells served as a clerk inside the courthouse. One afternoon, a former colleague named James Cunningham confronted him on the courthouse steps. The argument was brief. Then Cunningham pulled a revolver. Witnesses later said Wells staggered backward after the first shot. The second bullet struck him in the chest. He collapsed right beneath the courthouse tower. As he lay dying, townspeople said Wells looked up at the building's tall arched windows and whispered something no one could quite understand. Cunningham was later convicted and executed, but the story refused to die. For decades, locals whispered that Wells' spirit never left the courthouse grounds. Then came the storm. In the early 1900s, during a violent thunderstorm, lightning struck the courthouse tower. When the rain stopped, townspeople noticed something strange in one of the upper windows. A shape, a shadow, a human face burned permanently into the glass. It looked eerily like the portraits of Henry Wells, preserved in local records. The town had a new legend. They called it the face in the courthouse window. In the 1940s, a traveling photographer stopped in Carrollton while documenting historic courthouses across the South. He'd heard about the face. Most assumed it was just mineral staining in old glass, the kind lightning sometimes leaves behind. Still, he climbed the courthouse tower to photograph the window. Inside the tower, the air smelled like dust and wet wood. The spiral staircase creaked under each step. When he reached the landing, moonlight shone through the glass. And there it was. The face. Long nose, hollow eyes, sunken cheeks, almost pleading. He raised his camera. But when he developed the photograph days later in Birmingham, the window was blank. No face, just smooth glass. By the 1970s, county officials grew tired of the story attracting ghost hunters and curiosity seekers, so they decided to remove the face. Workers climbed the tower and removed the glass pane. They scrubbed it with acid cleaners, steel, wool, industrial solvents. Nothing worked. The face wouldn't fade. One worker later told reporters something unsettling happened during the cleaning. He said when he wiped the glass, the face seemed to shift slightly, as if its expression was changing, from sorrow to anger. The workers refused to reinstall the pane, but when a replacement arrived, it cracked during installation. 3 replacements broke the same way. Eventually, the original window was placed back in the tower. the face remained. In the 1990s, a night watchman named Robert Hayes worked security inside the courthouse during renovations. He knew the story, but he didn't believe in ghosts until one October night. Just after midnight, Hayes heard something from the stairwell leading up the tower. Slow, heavy, climbing. He grabbed his flashlight and moved toward the stairs. Hello? No answer. The footsteps stopped above him, at the landing beneath the famous window. Hayes climbed slowly, one step at a time. When his flashlight beam reached the glass, he froze. The face was there, but it looked different. The mouth was open, wider than photographs ever showed, and the eyes were staring directly at him. Then something else happened. Condensation appeared on the inside of the window. 3 words slowly formed across the glass, written as if by an invisible finger. Let me in. Hayes quit the next morning. He never returned. Today, the courthouse window still hangs in the Tower of Carrollton, Alabama. Tourists come from across the country to see it. And, well, every single photograph tells the same strange story. From outside the courthouse, you can see the face clearly. But from inside the tower, the glass looks completely normal. No stain, no shadow, no face, just clear glass. As if whatever's trapped in that window only wants to be seen from outside, waiting, watching. In 2019, a paranormal documentary crew arrived in Carrollton to investigate the courthouse legend. Stories like this had inspired countless haunted films and shows, including episodes of ghost adventures and other supernatural investigations across the United States. But the team wanted something different. They wanted proof. The investigator leading the project was named Daniel Harper. His plan was simple. Set up cameras inside the courthouse tower overnight, facing the window. If the face changed or moved, they would capture it. At 11:47 p.m., Daniel climbed the tower stairs alone. The courthouse was silent. Outside, wind rattled the trees around the square. Inside the tower, the air felt strangely warm. He placed 3 cameras around the landing, all pointing toward the glass. Then he turned off the lights. Only the faint glow of the cameras remained. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. Daniel sat quietly, watching the monitor. Then the temperature dropped suddenly. His breath fogged the air, and the cameras began to flicker. On the monitor, the glass slowly darkened, and the shape appeared again. The face, but clearer than ever before. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. The face wasn't burned into the glass. It was behind it, pressed against the other side, eyes blinking slowly, watching him. Then the mouth moved. No sound, just silent words. Daniel replayed the footage later, frame by frame. The lips formed a sentence. The same sentence written to the night watchman decades earlier. Let me in. Suddenly, the tower door slammed shut. Daniel ran to the stairs, locked from the outside. When he turned back toward the window, the face had changed again. The glass bulged outward, as if something behind it was pushing through. And for 1 second, Daniel swore the face wasn't Henry Wells anymore. It looked like his own. The cameras cut to static. The footage ends there. Daniel Harper refused to release the full recording. He left the project 2 weeks later, and according to the production team, he refuses to speak about Carrollton ever again. The Carrollton Courthouse Window remains one of the most famous ghost legends in the American South. Historians still debate how the image appeared. Some say lightning chemically altered the glass. Others believe heat from the strike etched an existing stain. But locals know a different story. They say Henry Wells died staring at those courthouse windows, and whatever final words he spoke bound him there. The story has appeared in countless paranormal books and Southern ghost collections. Some historians believe the legend helped inspire the wave of haunted object stories that later influenced Hollywood's supernatural films, from the Conjuring universe to investigative shows about cursed locations. But unlike movie props or staged hauntings, the courthouse window in Carrollton, Alabama is still there. The original glass, untouched. Visitors who photograph it often claim the same unsettling detail. Sometimes the face appears clearer in photos than in person. And occasionally, there's a second face beside it, fainter, younger, almost as if the window is slowly collecting more. If you ever pass through Carrollton, Alabama, stand across the street from the courthouse after sunset. Look up at the tower window. Most nights you'll see nothing, just old glass reflecting the street lights. But sometimes, when the sky is dark enough, the face appears again. And if you take a photograph and the face looks back at you, don't stare too long. Some people say the longer you look, the more the expression changes. And if you ever see the mouth begin to move, close your camera, walk away, and never go inside the tower. Because the last thing anyone should do is open a window that's been trying to get out for over 100 years. And if this story made you look twice at your own reflection tonight, leave a comment telling me what you saw in the glass. Share this with someone who loves true haunted legends, and subscribe before the next story finds you first. Because some legends don't stay in history. Sometimes they're still waiting in the window. And remember, stay curious and stay safe.